So much for joining us. And in the DMV, we reported on Thursday that SAMU First Response received 177 buses welcoming 7,600 people. Do you expect that to increase in Washington, D.C.? And are there measures and resources to take them in?
Well, we haven't seen increases of border crossings overnight after Title 42 ended, but there is a political will, especially from Texas. There would be the same political will in Florida, but Florida is not receiving as many migrants themselves. So there is that political will in Texas to keep sending buses of migrants north to cities. Definitely Washington, D.C. is one of their prime target cities, one of Texas's prime target cities, I might say. And that, as long as the politics of immigration remain the way they are right now, I would say it is likely. There's a very solid migrant infrastructure in this area, in the DMV, that some other cities don't have that. There's associations, there's groups, there's a TPS holders. There's a very good interaction there with asylum seekers. So if any city is going to have the capacity, it will likely be Washington.
So, of course, this is really important for President Biden. What can you tell us about his new proposal and how strict is it?
Well, it's very strict. His critics on the left have basically said that it amounts to an asylum ban, or at the very least a transit ban, which, if you remember correctly, Trump tried to implement a transit ban, and that got knocked down. He was unable to implement a transit ban in the end. But essentially, Biden's new policy will make it very, very, very hard for somebody to request asylum in the United States. But what happens if there are more people than can be processed coming in and maybe getting told, no, you can't have asylum? If they can't be returned to Mexico, which is the case as far as we know right now for everyone except Venezuelan, Salvadoran, Nicaraguan, and Cuban nationals, say that not Salvadorans, or Venezuelan, Haitian, Cuban, and Nicaraguan nationals. If somebody's not from those countries, let's assume somebody's Salvadoran, they don't get asylum because of the new restrictions. They have to be flown back to their country. Now, the federal government doesn't have the capacity to fly everyone back to their home country, assuming a very large rise in migration right now. But what we have seen is that the end of Title 42 came with a whimper and not a bang. There wasn't any substantial increase of traffic at the border, and the people who have been camping out at the border still are. That doesn't mean it can't come. That doesn't mean that smugglers aren't waiting for the right time to make their move. But we did not see the big media rush that some people expected with the end of Title 42.
And Rafael, we have less than 30 seconds. You brought up Trump. Let's compare the two. What type of political implications does President Biden face now for lifting Title 42?
Well, Republicans are going to attack him no matter what, and that has always been the case. And that's what the left keeps telling him, like, just follow what you said in the campaign. But Biden, he looks toward the center and toward independence, not toward his base, because he knows his base. They know the alternative. They've seen the alternative under President Trump for 4 years, and they will vote for anything but.
All right, Rafael Bernal from the Hill, thank you so much.